Peace and blessings. Shalom. Kwam Yasha Allah. Let's get straight to this lesson here, everyone. First and foremost, we are going to give all praises to the Most High God in the name of His only begotten Son. So today's lesson here will be titled, "Art Thou Marvelous?" So this is something that is going to go into a few on different points, but it's all going to circle back on around to that main point. So the first thing we will do, we are going to read the book of Second Esdras, chapter 8, and we're going to start at verse 46 and read through verse 58 straight through, just to let it all resonate on your spirit first prior to us breaking it down.
Khan. It's the book of Second Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 46. Then answered he me and said, things present are for the present, and things to come for such as to become. For thou comest far short, that thou shouldest be able to love my creature more than I. But I have oft times draweth nigh unto thee and unto it, but never to the unrighteous. Verse 48, in this also thou art marvelous before the Most High, in that thou hast humbled thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous. Verse 50, for many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride. But understand thou for thyself, and seek out the glory for such as be like thee. For unto you is paradise open, the tree of life is planted, the time to come is prepared, plenteousness is made ready, a city is builded, and rest is allowed, yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. The root of evil is sealed up from you, weakness in the mouth is hid from you, and corruption is fled unto hell to be forgotten. Verse 54, sorrows are past, and in the end is showed the treasure of immortality. And therefore, ask thou no questions concerning the multitude of them that perish. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, though thought scorn of his law, and forsook his ways. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteous, and said in their heart that there is no God. Yea, that knowing must die.
Man, those are some heavy words. Those are straight bars there. So the reason we have ran through that is to see what is it to be marvelous in the eyes of the Most High God. We also see what is promised to the people who act as such. And we also see the punishments for the people who do the opposite of these things. So let's start to break this down. Let's start once more with verse 46. Bring that out, please.
This is the book of Second Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 46. Then answered he me and said, and then answered he me and said, things present are for the present, and things to come for such as be to come.
So things are going to happen, but it's all under the orchestration of the Most High God, whether we like it, believe it, accept it, understand it, or not. Let's get the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1 and verse 9.
It's the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 1 in verse 9. The thing that have been is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun.
There is nothing new under the sun. The same sin, folly, perversions, and messed up things that we see in this very day were going on yesterday, 2 years back, five years back, 1,000 years back, so on, so forth. There is nothing new under the sun at all. So the things present and the things to come, clearly there are things to come that are for who? The righteous people that will be granted access to the kingdom truth. But the sin, the folly, and these promises of this kingdom has always been there. Let's get the next verse, 47.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8, and verse 47. For thou comest far short, that thou shouldest be able to love my creature more than I. But I have oft times draweth nigh unto thee and unto it, but never to the unrighteous.
So you would be a fool to think that you can love Israel more than the Most High God. We are the only people that he has promised a kingdom to. We are the only people that were given his laws, statutes, and commandments. We are the only people that he shows countless grace and mercy to over and over and over. But keep on reading at the very end. It says, but this isn't to the unrighteous. It is not. So just because you are Israel doesn't mean that you will be saved. Being Israel is simply the basic prereq for salvation. But when we speak more so of that love, for thou comest short that thou shouldest be able to love my creature more than I, you cannot do that, because the Most High has a innumerable amount of pure love for Israel. Let's get the book of Zechariah chapter 2 verse 8.
The book of Zechariah chapter 2 and verse 8. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you toucheth me, touches the apple of his eye.
We are the apple of the Most High's eye, meaning that he is always doing what? Looking at us. He's always protecting us. He keeps his eyes on us. Let's get the book of Amos chapter 3, start at verse 1.
It's the book of Amos chapter 3 and verse 1. And it reads, hear this word that the Lord hath spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying,
read.
You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore I will punish you for all your iniquities.
So this is God saying that he only knows Israel. You cannot get around this verse. This is a classic cut dagger straight to the heart. He has only known Israel. That is why he is hard on us for our sin, because we broke the covenant that we made with him. So let's get back into verse 47, but never to the unrighteous, right? So let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 12 and verse 6.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 12, and verse 6. For the Most High hateth sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment.
The Most High hates sinners. Point blank, period. Like, what else do we have to say there? When you are sinning, you are not being what? Righteous, meaning that you are ungodly, meaning that he will come and see about you. You cannot get away from the judgments, the punishments, the word, the glory, and everything that the Most High has said. You cannot get away from it. All right. Let's go back into second Esdras, chapter 8. Let's get the next verse.
God, it's the book of second Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 48. In this also thou art marvelous before the Most High.
So let's see how you are made marvelous before the Most High. Verse 49.
Verse 49. And that thou have humbled thyself as it becometh thee, and hast not judged thyself worthy to be much glorified among the righteous.
What is the first condition of being made marvelous? Being humble. Humility is very, very important, because you have to recognize first that you are not worthy to have this understanding. I am not worthy to teach this word. We are all unworthy, but it's all praises to the Most High for having grace and mercy upon his chosen people. It's a beautiful thing. Let's get the book of First Peter, chapter 5 and verse 6.
It's the book of First Peter, chapter 5 and verse 6. Humble yourselves, therefore, under the mighty hand of the Most High, that he may exalt you in due time.
So make yourself lowly so that you can be increased in the end time. Understand that you don't have it all. You don't know everything. You are constantly sinning. You are messing up every single day. So the first step to being made marvelous is to understand that and to seek the Most High God and follow what he says do, so that you may be what? Exalted in the due time. Not on my time, not on Wednesday, not after breakfast, but on his time, which is due time. Let's move on. Let's get the book of Isaiah, chapter 64 and verse 6.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 64 and verse 6. But we are all as an unclean thing, and all our righteousness are as filthy rags, and we all do fade as a leaf, and our iniquities, like the wind, have taken us away.
So, what does this mean? Our righteousness is as filthy rags, because a filthy rag starts out clean, right? But when you're cleaning off the dirt and the grime and you start to scrub, that rag gets dirty. So you are coming in with the cleaning to get the filth out. But guess what? You still gotta bathe every single day. So you still have to get down on your knees, repent. You have to do the first works. You have to pray. You have to fast. You have to do all these things just to get a little of the filthiness out. Because as long as we are in this corruptible fleshly body, we are capable of sin. All right. Let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 9.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 9. And it reads, why is earth and ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man, For such an one setteth his own soul to sell, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels.
So why is earth and ashes proud? We are made from the dust of the ground, right? Why are you proud if you can step on the same thing that you are made from every single day? It makes no sense to be proud. So you must be humble. You must humble yourself to be even thought of as marvelous, right? So we're 10 and 9, right? So,
Cons.
and you also set yourself up for a sale by giving in to your flesh. Because you can be laying it down, right? Knowing that you need to sleep, that you need to work, that you need to get in these scripts, that you need to cook, that you need to check on your folks. You need to do good works, right? But you just opened up your phone, you on that TikTok app, and that thick girl that came on doing God knows what, right? You have now sold your soul to sale by giving up time to partake in whatever type of sin and folly that you thought of, when you should be in this word, constantly trying to get more perfect, trying to strive to be marvelous. You cannot sell your soul because you're casting away everything doing that. Let's move on. Let's get the book of Second Esdras chapter 8 and verse 50.
Con. It's the book of Second Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them, that in the latter times shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride.
So when you are not humble, you are full of what? Pride. And getting a very classic scripture in regards to that pride. Let's get the book of Proverbs 16, verse 18.
It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 16 and verse 18. And it reads, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall.
Pride goeth before destruction. I cannot make that any more plain. Pride goeth before destruction. And it just so happens that we are in the month of June, right? And what is going on now? Something called Pride Month. This is something that we are told to find joy in, and be an ally, and express your cisgender, non-binary element, or whatever that crap is. This is leading you to destruction. You are comfortable. You are celebrating destruction. And a haughty spirit before a fall, meaning a heightened spirit comes before a fall, thinking that you got it all, thinking that you know it all, thinking that you can do what you want, thinking that you don't have to keep any laws because you have made it up in your mind to listen to what somebody else told you about not doing these first works. Shame on you. Pride goes before destruction. Bring that verse out one more time up.
Con. It's the book of Second Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them, that in the latter times shall dwell in the world, because they have walked in great pride.
Because they have walked in great pride, they shall have great miseries come up upon them, right? All right, let's get the book of Sirach chapter 10, verse 12.
The book of Sirach, chapter 10 and verse 12. The beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his maker.
This is very, very plain. When you have on pride, you have turned away from your God. You have turned away from your creator. You have said now that you are your own God because you feel that your ways are better than his. That's sad. That's stupid. And that will lead to your destruction, which is why this verse says, for many great miseries shall be done unto them because they walk in great pride. So stop being prideful. This is going to help you be made marvelous in the eyes of the Most High God. Moving on. Verse 51.
Khan, it's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 51. But understand thou for thyself and seek out the glory for such as be like thee.
So you have to first get the understanding for yourself, meaning that you can't rely on the pastor, you can't rely on the deacon, you can't rely on the usher at the door that be smiling to you, saying you good morning, saint. You can't rely on anyone to get this for you. You have to seek this out for your own self. Hell, don't even rely on me to teach this. Search out everything that I brought out, that I will bring out, and hold me accountable to the words that I say. Prove me on them. Prove the Bible with the Bible. It's that simple. Let's get the book of Isaiah chapter 34 and verse 16.
God, it's the book of Isaiah, chapter 34 and verse 16. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it have commanded, and his spirit it hath gathered them.
So seek ye from the book of the Lord, because that's where you're going to learn about the Lord, is in the book of what? The Lord. The Bible is going to tell you everything that you need in order to serve your God correctly. The Bible will tell you how to treat your fellow brother. The Bible will tell you how to deal with the heathen. The Bible will literally tell you everything that you need, but you have to seek from it and you have to do it for yourself. Back in 2nd Esdras 8, and it also says to seek out the glory for such as be as like thee, right? What is that glory? Let's get the book of Romans 9, verse 4.
The book of Romans, chapter 9 and verse 4. Who are Israelites?
Who are who?
Who are Israelites?
So this is about to tell you about the Israelites. Read.
To whom pertaineth the adoption.
That means being grafted back in. Go on.
And the glory.
And the what?
And the glory.
And the glory, which is what? And seek out the glory. So first, you have to be an Israelite to even seek the glory, because it is for you. It pertains to you. Read on up.
And the covenants.
The new and the old.
And the giving of the law.
The giving of the law was to Israel in the wilderness. Read.
And the service of the Most High.
You cannot serve the Most High without first being an Israelite. You can't have the glory without being an Israelite. And you can't have what else? Finish out.
And the promises.
And you can't have any of these promises unless you are an Israelite. Point blank, period. And seek out the glory for such as be like thee. Let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 12.
It's the book of Sirach, chapter 37 and verse 12. But be continually with a godly man, whom thou knowest to keep the commandments of the Most High, whose mind is according to thy mind, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry.
So you have to be continually with the godly man who first knows the commandments, because when you know the commandments, you keep the commandments, because the only way to truly know them is to do them. Whose mind is according to thy mind, meaning that both of you know to serve the Most High in sincerity and in truth, and will sorrow with thee if thou shalt miscarry, and will be down and will be hurt when you fall off, just if they fell off. Because personally, I feel terrible when I sin. I feel terrible. I don't need to be around people that are telling me, "Oh man, it's all right. Everyone does it. You can do it. You'll be all right. Just say you're sorry, man, and that's all right." No, I need somebody to tell me, "Hey, you messing up, huh?" I need someone to put their boot on me so I can get back right. This is what we need. We need to seek out the glory for such as be like thee. So be around the people who be like thee. Simple, right? Next verse.
Con. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 52. For unto you is paradise open. The tree of life is planted. The time to come is prepared. Plenteousness is made ready. A city is builded, and rest is allowed. Yea, perfect goodness and wisdom.
Man, that's a lot. Break down there. That's a beautiful verse. That's a beautiful verse. Just read. Man, I read that one more time for the people who didn't really hear it, that didn't really pay attention to the visually impaired, that may not have even seen these words on the doggone screen. Read that one more time, Mark.
God, this is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 52. For unto you is paradise open. The tree of life is planted. The time to come is prepared. Plenteousness is made ready. A city is builded, and rest is allowed. Yea, perfect goodness and wisdom.
All praise. Let's break this down by every single point that is made. So, for unto you is paradise what? Open. Let's get into that. Can I get the book of Matthew chapter 13, start at verse 10, please?
It's the book of Matthew chapter 13 and verse 10. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables?
Read.
He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given.
So we have to understand that the mysteries of the kingdom aren't for everybody. So, hey, this may not be for your mom and your daddy, your sister, your brother, your cousin, your friend, your neighbor, doggone Keisha from the third grade. This may not be for them, but unto you it is given. You know that you are Israel. You know that you're supposed to be keeping these commandments. You know that you are supposed to be doing all these things because you understand this Bible. And that's a heavy, heavy lot, because now you are marked. So you have to seek out these things. You have to get to this paradise, right? Let's get back in on that verse. All right. So, for unto you is paradise open. Let's get into that paradise more. Let's get the book of Revelation, chapter 21 and verse 12.
The book of Revelations, chapter 21 and verse 12. And had a wall great and high, and had 12 gates, and at the gates 12 angels, and names written thereon, which are the name of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel.
So this is talking about what? The kingdom. It has 12 gates, right? Well, growing up, we always heard there's one big pearly gate and all that. That's BS. And we clearly see it because we went to the source and we followed steps into being marvelous by doing what? Seeking out of the book of the Lord and reading. So the kingdom has 12 gates, and the names written thereon are the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. These same children of Israel get that glory that we just finished talking about. So, Israel is on the gates. I would have to think this
So you mean to tell me ain't no gates for the Edomites?
I don't see a 13th gate or 500th gate. I don't see that. I see 12 gates, and the gates say who they are for. Ain't that something? Moving on, let's get the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, start at verse 1.
It's the book of Isaiah, chapter 26, and verse 1. In that day shall this song be sung in the land of Judah. We have a strong city. Salvation will God appoint for walls and bulwarks.
So this is being sung where? In the land of Judah, meaning this is specifically talking in regards to the southern kingdom. We have a strong city, and we have the salvation of our God within these walls. This is that same kingdom. Read on.
Verse 2. Open ye the gates, that the righteous nation which keepeth the truth may enter in.
That's a beautiful verse. Open ye the gates, that the righteous nation. And we know that thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and the law is the truth. And if the law was only given to Israel, Israel are the only one that keep the truth. And that's the condition of their what? Righteousness, making them the righteous nation, which the gates are open to. And those gates, guess what? Have the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. The Bible reads for the Bible. The Bible teaches Bible. There's no private interpretation. You can't make this up. Just read the book. Seek out of the book and be marvelous, people. Let's get back into that verse. And our next on our part there, the tree of life is planted. All right. Let's get the book of Revelation, chapter 2, start at verse 5.
It's the book of Revelation, chapter 2, and verse 5. Remember, therefore, from whence thou art fallen, and repent, and do the first works, or else I will come unto thee quickly, and will remove thy candlestick out of his place, except thou repent.
This sounds like being humble, which is the first condition of your marvelousness. So know that you did wrong, repent, and do the first works, which is what? The laws, statutes, and commandments. And you better do it, or the Most High will blow your candlestick out, meaning that you will have no more light. And without light, there is what? Darkness and death. Read on.
Verse 6. But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate.
So this is being expressed that the Most High and his son hates the deeds of the Nicolaitans, right? Let's see what that means. Let's see, Nicolaitans. That is Strong's G3531. And it clearly means destruction of the people, a sect mentioned in Revelations, who were charged with holding the era of Balaam, casting a stumbling block before the church of God by upholding the liberty of eating things sacrificed unto idols, as well as committing fornication. Wicked people, pretty much. So we see that the Most High hates the deeds of the Nicolaitans. Read on.
Verse 7. He that hath an ear, let him hear what the Spirit saith unto the churches. To him that overcometh will I give to eat of the tree of life, which is it in the midst of the paradise of the Most High.
So the people that overcome are the sin, are the folly, are the distractions placed in front of them, and that deal with these so-called Nicolaitans, which can also come in the form of family, friends, etc., etc. That person will have the right to eat of the tree of life, which is in the midst of what? Paradise. Doesn't that sound familiar? Unto you, paradise is open, the tree of life is planted. So the tree of life, according to this verse, is in the midst of the paradise. So you must get to the tree of life to be in this paradise, right? Let's get the book of Proverbs chapter 3, start at verse 13.
This is the book of Proverbs chapter 3 and verse 13. Happy is the man that findeth wisdom, and the man that getteth understanding.
So happy is the man that findeth what? Wisdom, right? Drop down to verse 18.
Verse 18. She is a tree of life to them that lay hold upon her, and happy is everyone that retaineth her.
So wisdom is this tree of life. And whoever has that is a happy person, because that wisdom is in the midst of the kingdom. When you seek unto wisdom, you seek unto the kingdom, and the mysteries of the kingdom are what? Given unto you. So you must seek out what? Wisdom. Let's get the book of Revelation chapter 22 and verse 14.
This is the book of Revelations chapter 22 and verse 14. Blessed are they that do his commandments, that they may have the right to the tree of life, and may enter in through the gates into the city.
So the commandments being your wisdom, and we know that through the countless verses. We can go to Deuteronomy. We can go multiple places. Tune in to the previous lessons, please, to get that full understanding. So blessed are they that do his commandments. Blessed are the wise, that they may have right to the tree of life, because the commandments appertain to your wisdom, and you may enter in through the gates. And these gates are where, people? With whose name on them? The children of Israel. These are the gates. We have the wisdom. We have access to the wisdom because we are the only people that keep the commandments. The Bible teaches itself. Let's go back into our verse. All right. So let us get into this. The time to come is prepared. All right. Let's get the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23, start at verse 7.
It's the book of Jeremiah, chapter 23 and verse 7. Therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt.
So the time that is coming, people won't be talking about how the children of Israel were freed from where? Egypt, but they will rather be saying what? Read on.
But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country, and from all countries whither I have driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land.
But there will be a new saying. The Lord liveth that brought the children of Israel from the land of the north. Where are we now? North America. And from all the countries whither I had driven them, because we all know Israel was scattered. So this is that time that we look forward to being freed from this current captivity, being placed in our kingdom, having wisdom with us at all times, because the law will be put into our inward parts, and having these heathen under us. That is a beautiful time to come. And we see plenteousness is made ready, right? Let's get the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, start at verse 4.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 4. Blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle, the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Read.
Blessed shall be thy basket in thy store.
So this is the plenteousness. You will have many children. You will be very fruitful. And the fruit of the ground, meaning that your crops, your produce, your vegetables, your grains, your herbs, your spices will be in plenteousness. And your cattle, your sheep, all your meats will be there. You will not have to say, dang, chicken breast is $1.99 a pound now. No, shoot, it's there. Just get it. That is plenteousness. Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. We will not have a want for anything in this kingdom. All praises to the Most High for his everlasting love. My goodness. A city is builded. Let's get the book of Revelations, chapter 21 and verse 10.
It's the book of Revelations, chapter 21 and verse 10. And he carried me away in the spirit to a great and high mountain, and showed me that great city, the holy Jerusalem, descending out of heaven from the Most High.
So this is that city. This is that city that is building. Isn't the Bible just beautiful how it teaches what it says exactly? So the city is called New Jerusalem. Who lives in Jerusalem predominantly? Who is known by being in Jerusalem? Israel. The doggone proof is in the pudding. It's right there, which we just had read, Revelations 21:12, that the city, this same city, these same gates, these same walls have the names of the 12 tribes of the children of Israel. We have a city prepared for us, and rest is allowed. Let's get the book of Matthew, chapter 11, start at verse 29.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 11, and verse 29. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls.
Read.
For my yoke is easy and my burden is light.
So you will find rest when you submit to your king, Yahweh. His burden is easy. Yoke is light. This is your rest when you live by the example that was given by our Savior. When you live by the words that our Savior taught. Did you hear me out?
You was on mute.
I was on mute.
Yes, just for the last part.
Okay, Con. Can you read verse 8?
We ended with Matthew 30, 11 and 30.
All right. Moving on, pass on this. Just summing up, if it what wasn't heard, cleave to Yahweh, because he will lead you where? To the Father. Easy. All right, let's get the book of Isaiah, chapter 25, start at verse 8.
The book of Isaiah, chapter 25, and verse 8. He will swallow up death in victory, and the Lord God will wipe away tears from off all faces, and the rebuke of his people shall he take away from off all the earth, for the Lord hath spoken it.
This sounds like an ultimate rest here, where the rest is allowed. That is a beautiful scripture there, people, because we clearly see that death is gone, tears are gone. We aren't made the doggone laughing stock of the world. Like, all of that has been taken away. Verse 9.
Verse 9. And it shall be said in that day, lo, this is our power. We have waited for him, and he will save us. This is the Lord. We have waited for him. We will be glad and rejoice in his salvation.
We will be finally, truly happy, because we will be saved. We will have our rest. Verse 10.
Verse 10. For in this mountain shall the hand of the Lord rest, and Moab shall be trodden down under him, even as straw is trodden down from the dunghill.
So this is where the power of the Most High will rest with us, because with our power comes rest, because you don't have to worry. You don't have any adversaries. You are ruling. You are setting the standard. This is a true rest, having your enemies under you and you being in rulership. Moab will be trodden down. These so-called Asians will be trodden down for the dunghill, meaning that will be a place of waste, for a lack of better words there. Read on verse 11, please.
Verse 11. And he shall spread forth his hand in the midst of them, and he that swimmeth spreadeth forth his hands to swim, and he shall bring down their pride together with the spoils of their hands.
So the same way, if it's someone swimming and they're moving the arms, scooping the water back, bringing it down low, putting the water under, taking it from the surface, bringing it under the water, moving it out the way. That is what the Most High will be doing to these other people for you. For you. This is how your tears will be gone. This is how death will be swallowed up, because you won't have any more fear. You won't have anything to worry with. You will be truly free. Shoot, we might as well bring out verse 112 there.
God, verse 12. And the fortress of the high fort of thy walls shall he bring down, lay low and bring to the ground, even to the dust.
So death and destruction to the heathen, Israel on the top, the Most High protecting us. We have no more worries, so that we may truly finally rest. And yea, perfect goodness and wisdom. Let's get the book of Luke, chapter 12, verse 32.
The book of Luke, chapter 12, and verse 32. Fear not, little flock, for it is your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom.
That's the goodness. That is the goodness. The Father wants to give us the kingdom, but we have to do what he says, and we have to seek to be what? Marvelous in his eyes. Moving on, let's get verse 53.
Con. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 53. And it reads, the root of evil is sealed up from you. Weaknesses and the moth is hid from you, and corruption is fled unto hell to be forgotten.
So this is going to happen. All that evil will be taken from us. It will not be able to touch us anymore. Let's get the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 3. Start at verse 21.
It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 3 and verse 21. For the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed and was overcome, and so be all they that are born of him.
So that wicked heart is that evil root, and everyone has it in them. Read on.
Thus, infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away, and the evil abode still.
So hurt is a standard thing in this world due to this evil root being in us, right? That is in us. Read on.
Con, verse 23.
Wait, hold on. Stop there. Go down to verse 31.
Con, verse 31. I do not remember how this way may be left, and they then of Babylon better than they of Zion.
So are the people of Babylon, meaning the people of this world, are they better than the children of Israel that truly seek to serve their most high power? Absolutely not, because no other nation knows the most high besides Israel. We went over that early on. You only have I known of all the families of the earth. He is only dealing with Israel. Read on.
God. Verse 32. Or is there any other people that know of these besides Israel? Or what generation have so believed thy covenants as Jacob?
No one believes in the Most High God like we do. You have many people saying, I believe in God, I believe in the Bible, I believe in all those things, man. But when you start to actually go into the Bible, they do not relate to these things. They cannot relate to these things because it's not in them to relate to these things. Read on.
Verse 33. And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor hath no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, for I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments.
So you got the children of Israel who are not seeing any type of reward currently from the carnal sense, but we know that we have the ultimate reward promise if we do what the Most High says in the kingdom. That is our true reward there. But we see that the heathen are flowing in their wealth. So although the heathen profit and they find success in the world and all that, they don't give a damn about the commandments. They don't care. They don't care because it doesn't pertain to them, because God is not dealing with them. Read on.
Verse 34. Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and there's also that dwell in the world, and so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel.
So if you do a compare and the contrast here, you got Israel, everyone else, right? You will not find the Most High's name or the Most High's actions in anywhere but Israel. Read on.
Verse 35. Or when was it that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight? Or what people have so kept thy commandments?
Read.
Thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precepts, but not the heathen.
So the heathen does not keep these precepts. The heathen does not keep these laws. The heathen will therefore never be humble, meaning that the heathen will never be marvelous, because humility is the first step to being marvelous. It's impossible for the heathen to be made marvelous. So, where were we? And corruption is fled into hell to be forgotten, because this destruction and corrupt will be hid if we focus on the paradise that we mentioned in the previous verse. And all these good things will come unto us, right? Let's get verse 54. And then we finna zoom on past these here. Read.
This is the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8, and verse 54. Sorrows are past, and in the end it showed the treasure of immortality.
So all the sorrows are gone, and we start to see these treasures. Let's get the book of Matthew. Where are we? Salakia. What we just said, 2nd Esdras, chapter 3. Let's get the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 19.
This is the book of Matthew, chapter 6, and verse 19. Lay not up for yourselves treasure upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal.
Read.
But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal.
So don't worry about the heathen's wealth here. Don't even consider that. But lay yourself up treasures in heaven by doing the first works. The first works, you will be paid the treasure for the first works. Lay that up in the kingdom, because your first works are keeping the commandments. The commandments are your wisdom. The wisdom is the tree of life. The tree of life is within that paradise. So you want to work towards things in the kingdom and be made marvelous there. All right. Let's get Matthew 24, start at verse 3.
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 24, and verse 3. And as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world?
Read.
And Yahushua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you.
Read.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, and shall deceive many.
Read.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye not be troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet.
So the end isn't yet based on all of this stuff. Read.
Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places.
One more.
All these are the beginning of sorrows.
So we are just in the beginning of sorrows. Stay focused. Keep your mind focused, because this isn't going on yet. Sorrows have not passed yet. We are just at the beginning, so we have to do what? Endure. All right. Let's get verse 55. We almost done, people.
It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8, and verse 55. And therefore ask thou no more questions concerning the multitude of them that perish.
So don't be asking too many questions about the people that are set to die. Let's get the book of Ezekiel 3, start at verse 18.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3, and verse 18. When I say unto the wicked, that thou shalt surely die, and thou giveth him not warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand.
So if you don't warn someone who is off, that they are being off, God will see about you for it. Read.
Verse 19, yet if thou warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou have delivered thy soul.
But if you warn them and they still keep on doing what they're doing, hey, they shall die. And that's not on you. All right. Let's get the book of Matthew, chapter 10, verse 14. Read that.
The book of Matthew, chapter 10, and verse 14. And whosoever shall not receive you, nor hear your words, when ye depart out of that house or city, shake off the dust off your feet.
If it's somebody who doesn't want to come back to these words of life, man, clean your shoes from them and keep on moving. Read.
Verily, I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in that day of judgment than for that city.
And we all know that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed by heavenly intervention. So it will be better that you died there than to die by you not listening to these words. All right. Verse 56.
It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8, and verse 56. For when they had taken liberty, they despised the Most High, thought scorn of his law, and forsake his ways.
Wicked, right? Let's get the book of Psalms 81, verse 11.
The book of Psalms, chapter 81 and verse 11. But my people would not hearken to my voice, and Israel would none of me.
That's sad that even though we have the Most High God on our side, He has given us laws, statutes, commandments, grace, mercy, so on and so forth, we still will not listen to Him. Let's get the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7, start at verse 20.
The book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 7 and verse 20. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the law of God, that it is set before them.
People die because they hate the law, meaning they hate order. Read.
Verse 21. For the Most High have given straight commandment to such as came, that they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment.
There is straight commandment. There isn't anything tricky there. Keep the commandments. Read.
Verse 22. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things.
Because they hate the Most High. Read.
Verse 23. And deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of the Most High that he is not, and knew not his ways.
Because they were not given that quick sentencing for their crime, so they thought that everything's cool. The Most High doesn't care. Blah blah blah. Read.
Verse 24. But his law have they despised, and denied his covenants. In his statutes have they not, so like in his statutes have they not been faithful, and have not performed his works.
Because they have no wisdom. Because the commandments appertain to what? Wisdom. If you hate and you don't do the commandments, that means that you don't have wisdom, means you don't have the tree of life, meaning that you cannot reach paradise. All right. Verse 57.
It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 57. Moreover, they have trodden down his righteousness.
They have trodden down his righteous people. All right. Romans 11, start at verse 1.
The book of Romans, chapter 11 and verse 1. I say then, have God cast away his people? God forbid. For I also am an Israelite, of the seed of Abraham, of the tribe of Benjamin.
This is beloved brother Paul clearly saying that he's an Israelite. Go to verse 3.
Verse 3. Lord, they have killed thy prophets and dig down thine altars, and I am left alone. They seek my life.
And they're constantly killing his prophets, which are the righteous. And our people kill us every day by not listening to these words. But if you read on, you will clearly see that the Most High has a remnant according to the election of grace prepared that will rise up and take this kingdom. Let's get the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 24.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 4, and verse 24. And he said, verily I say unto you, no prophet is accepted in his own country.
Now, I will not say that I am a prophet, teacher, anything. I just bring the words that were written and given to the prophets. So by you giving out those same words to your friends, family, and everywhere else, they will not accept it, because you will not be accepted in your own land. All right, let's get the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 1, verse 32.
It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 1 In verse 32, I sent unto you my servants, the prophets, whom ye have taken and slain, and torn their bodies in pieces, whose blood I will require of your hands, saith the Lord.
And our people that will not turn to these words, they got to deal with the biggest, baddest gangster ever, the Most High God. And best believe, according to the book of Exodus, chapter 15:3, that he is a man of war. Let's get the book of Luke, chapter 21 and 12.
It's the book of Luke, chapter 21 and verse 12. But before all these, they shall lay their hands on you and persecute you, deliver you up to the synagogues and into prisons, being brought before kings and rulers for my name's sake.
And don't be shocked if any of these things do not happen unto you. These are signs of being God's chosen people when you are persecuted for his name's sake. And let's cap it on out, verse 58.
It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 8 and verse 58. And said in their heart that there is no God, yea, and that knowing they must die.
If you don't want to be marvelous in the eyes of the Most High God, and if you don't want to serve him, if you don't want to believe in him, guess what? You must die. Not you can die, you must die. Let's get the book of Psalms, chapter 14:1.
It's the book of Psalms, chapter 14 and verse 1. The fool have said in his heart, there is no God. They are corrupt. They have done abominable works. There is none that doeth good.
So if you say that there is no God, that means that you are the fool. Point blank, period. Let's get the book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 7.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 1 and verse 7. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Hey, fools hate wisdom and instruction. We know that wisdom comes when you keep the law. We know wisdom is the tree of life. The tree of life is in the midst of paradise, which is in the kingdom. If you don't have fear for the Most High, if you don't serve him, if you don't believe him, you will never get to the kingdom, and you will never be seen as marvelous in the eyes of our God. And to close us out, let's get the book of Job, chapter 31 and verse 23.
It's the book of Job, chapter 31 and verse 23. For destruction from the Most High was a terror to me, and by reason of his highness, I could not endure.
So the destruction from the Most High is terrible. You do not want it. This is Job, a man who was seen as perfect, saying that this is something that he could not endure. And he was seen as perfect. And we are so less than perfect because we sin every day. But the only thing that we can do, that we should do, is to strive to be perfect, strive to keep these laws, seek the kingdom, stay humble, remove the pride and the haughty spirit from us, separate from these heathen, serve our God, love our brothers and our sisters, and look to the hope of our King, Hamashiach, Yahushua, coming in the name of his our Lord, which is our God, the Most High Yahweh. And with that, I say, Kwam Yasharala, Shalom.